Hi everyone, my name is Bhavesh Goswami. I'm the founder and CEO of CloudThat. I've been associated with AI for the last 25 years, but no time in history AI has been moving so rapidly as it has been now. There's a joke between me and a friend that if you go into a coma for 6 months and you wake up, you'll be completely irrelevant in the AI world. And I was not able to find any podcast that gives me information about all the latest and greatest happening in AI in a very short and concise manner. And that's why we started this podcast to bring you all the latest and greatest happening in AI in the past few months. If you are a aspiring developer, CTO, vice president technology, CEO, or anybody who wants to be up to date with the latest and greatest in AI, this is the right podcast for you. In the next few months, there will be Microsoft Ignite and AWS reInvent, two major events where you're going to have a lot of new feature releases and new things happening. And we will try to understand all those releases and bring to you in a concise, precise way. So please do subscribe. All right. So as my first guest, I want to invite Pradeep Junjunwala. He's the head of partner and customer success at public sector of AWS, and his team has been instrumental in doing a lot of great public sector implementations on AWS. One thing that you probably all use, Vijayatra, Gem Portal, those are all kind of some of the few things that him and his team has designed and put on cloud. So welcome, Pradeep, to this podcast.
Thank you, Bhavesh. Thank you for having me here and looking forward to a great discussion with you.
Thank you, Pradeep. So, first question, Pradeep, I wanted to check with you is that a lot of the listeners, for example, if they are CTO or VP engineering or a manager who has a lot of developers reporting to them, or they are themselves developers, right? How has the world changed for those kind of people?
A very interesting question, Bhavesh. And I think the world, Gen AI has impacted the developer the most. And we have to change the way we are thinking of AI in development world. For example, SDLC was a standard process, correct, where we used to do a lot of meetings, manual processes, and stuff like that. But now we are entering a world called AI DLC, which is AI-led development lifecycle.
Okay.
The biggest change which has to happen is if you look at the VPs, engineering, or CTOs, they are still thinking that AI is a tool for developers to do the job.
Okay.
Other, the biggest change they have to think in their mind is that to reverse the thought process. So the developers should not be leading AI. AI should be leading developers.
Okay.
For example, when you're thinking of a business challenge, a business process to solve, a business product to build in, AI should be leading it, understand the business problem,
Okay.
break down the task or the bigger problem to a smaller task, and get validation from the developer. So I think this is a process change which has to happen to make the effective use of the AI. I think that's the biggest change and the biggest culture change which has to happen to really use Gen AI for developers.
Okay, great, very interesting. So, for if a CTO or a developer or a manager wanted to adopt AWS technologies in this changing world, right, with AI-led development, what are some of the tools and techniques available on AWS? I just recently we were discussing that AWS launched Kiro, right? There's various other tools available as well. So, what other tools would you recommend, and for what use cases?
See, we launched Kiro, we have QCLI, we have other Q for developers, multiple tools what we launch. So the change what is happening is you have to start from product development to product maintenance, everything,
Okay.
correct? So you can't just be thinking about one cycle that I'll develop the product and go away.
Correct.
If you look at the product as a developer holistically, they spend 60% still on upgrading a product or maintaining a product, 20% on basically how to do the basics of the coding, and 20% is a core development which they are doing. These tools will enhance that 20% to 70-80%. That's the idea. All the upgrades of the product from older version of Java to newer version of Java can be taken by the Q transform what we launch.
Okay.
When you come to all the vibe coding, the AI DLC process, Kiro will take care of that.
Okay.
And when you come to the maintenance of the code or running that on AWS, QCLI will do it because that's where the whole integration end to end is happening. So we have various tools in an integrated tool chain so that we can make sure that everybody is protected with the right amount of AI they are using.
And I think I also wanted to, if you talked about Kiro, you talked about Q for developer. I just wanted to let people know, if they are not aware of that, that those are, you can start using those tools completely free. That all of them have a free version, while some features might be only with a paid version. But they can start, go online right now and start those using those tools.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, because until unless you experience the tool, you'll not be confident of that. So we have a free version for all the builders, and they can use with the builder ID.
Yeah, fantastic. Um, so that's kind of like for the developers to develop the code, right? But the latest trend or the latest innovation is happening in the agentic AI world, right? So what are some of the services and tools AWS has for agentic AI?
See, all these tools are itself agentic in nature. Kiro is agentic, Q-Transform is agentic.
Okay.
But if a developer want to build agentic software, correct,
Mhm.
they use our service called Bedrock. Bedrock has a new cool feature which got GA right now called Agent Core.
Agent code.
Now,
Okay.
if you really want to understand what Agent Core does, is it allows you to build agent. So that's one thing which is very basic. But you have to go and double down on it. Look at what agents need.
Hmm.
Agents are what? Agents are SME in the organization,
Hmm.
which has high amount of IQ. I define an agent as that.
Okay.
But agent need to share this. This SME need to talk to each other, correct? They
Okay.
need to share. If one agent is hand over the process to other agent, it also need to transform the memory from one agent to other agent.
Correct.
Agent code does that.
Okay.
It allows you to access the tools, correct? You want to talk to the MCP server, has tool access to that. Now, these are the tools for the developers to use,
Mhm.
or the gateway to talk to any APIs and stuff like that. But also, the developer want to know how my agent is performing. So you have a complete monitoring system or for that. They want to authenticate and have security, so they have authentication system for that. So this is a plethora of tool which the agent core gives you because you need a you just need not need multiple agents. You need a lot of other tools with it. You need guardrails. That's what agent code gives you to make sure that you have all of that in a single framework to be used seamlessly.
So great. Um, the agent core sounds really interesting, really promising, but it could be confusing if you don't have a use case. Is there, you manage a lot of partners of AWS and AWS teams. Is there any example that you can give of how somebody has used agent core creatively to solve some really great challenges?
Yeah, a lot of partners, including you, are developing a lot of solutions, correct? One of the thing which one of the partners asked me was uh, they have a lot of L1 support tickets, correct?
Okay.
They have 40, 50 people on L1 support ticket, and these are
Wow.
repeatable tasks. What the partner does is understand the L1 ticket. The first agent, what it does is it understand that ticket, what type of ticket it is. L1 ticket is a costing ticket, it is a support ticket. Then it's have multiple agents below it.
Okay.
So there's a costing agent, there's a deployment agent, there's an agent for starting and stopping or EC2,
Mhm.
and they goes and basically automate the task. So if you ask me the ROI, they have reduced 80% manpower.
Wow.
Correct. Taking example of what you did, correct, in cloud that the whole automation of the SOW
Correct.
using agent was super.
Mhm.
Today, I started 18 months back when I started this project. SOW was to take 2 weeks,
Correct.
and there was legal guys who were looking at it. There were quality guys who were looking at it. There were some architect building it, and there was a sales guy looking at it. We build this 4 agents now, and the SOW comes out in 2 hours,
Yeah.
which is ready to customer in a precise format which cloud that needed. So these are a couple of examples which are really, really changing the way people are using agents to deliver efficiency not only inside the organization but also outside the organization.
Great, yeah. I think like L1 support you mentioned, I think it's for a lot of tech companies, but a lot of commercial companies we see working on solving their customer support queries. So having a kind of a agentic bot who can understand the relevant question, and for example, if it's a flight or travel booking, right, and you say, hey, my flight is delayed, what do I do? Understanding there's an existing customer, they would probably have a PNR, ask for PNR, route them to the right department. That used to take a phone call. Now, kind of agents can do that.
Yeah, and we're using it. We are actually working with one of the PSUs to support their B2C customers. Uh, Things like for solving LPG queries, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That can also be a use case where
Correct.
whether my cylinder reached my home or not,
Mm.
when it will reach it, or there's a gas problem. So we are using that same solution to solve that.
One of the similarly, I think one very interesting and dear to my heart project that we are working on is that there's a lot of grievances that government gets, and for one of the agencies, we are trying to see if we can help them have an agent which can understand the grievance. That if somebody says my road is dark, right, understand that it's related to the light not being there, the street lights not being there, and so it should be routed to this and this department, compared to somebody saying my road is navigable, thinking okay, this is now for the other department which is for road construction, all that. So we're doing that. Earlier there was a triage and somebody had to manually do that to figure out, or even worse, the person had to know which department to write the ticket. Now they can just file a grievance with English and they can go to the right department. So that's something we are working on as well, which I'm very excited about.
No, I'm a part of that project. And see, one of the biggest learning of that project is sometimes what we think grievance is actually not grievance also.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. There was a problem. He said, I don't have electricity in my home. Now, this is supposed to be a grievance, correct?
Hmm.
But when the bot started chatting with the person who put the grievance, that what he wanted to understand is how to apply for electricity for his new house. So yeah, interesting use cases coming in. Agentic is really going to change the way a lot of things happens across enterprises, SMEs and SMBs. So really excited with all the agentic development happening.
Great. So, along with the agentic AI, a big part of developer or a big part of supporting a company is business process automation. And while some of the things you mentioned can be used for that, what are some of the tools that AWS has for business process automation?
So we just launched Quick Suite, correct? That's a great tool for all the business process automation. That's a great tool for research for the organization.
So, a lot of people might not know about the recent launch of QuickSuite. You might want to maybe mention a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
So this is a recent launch what we did with QuickSuite. See, if you look at our organization, correct, we had a product called QuickSight, which was the presentation layer, where a lot of analytics used to be shown. And believe me, in last so many years of working, I've never come through a project in which any end user was happy with the report they're getting. Because you build 4 reports and they want 4 more
Correct.
at the end of the month. QuickSet first what it does is the agentic way of generating the reports. So in a common language, you can generate the report.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have flows which can automate the business process with agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
Third big use case what we saw through the enterprise was research.
Okay.
We talk about a lot of other tools like Perplexity and uh, Claude and stuff like that to research. They are good tools, but the biggest challenge with the enterprise is they are using your data to, they're taking out your data, correct? Secondly, the research can't use your company data. With QuickSight, you can merge your company data and the external data to get a complete end-to-end research out of it. So that's what we are launching. So developer, support guys, business process is what agentic is going to solve.
Great. All right. So I think in for audience who know AWS but haven't been following, we talked about Kiro, we talked about a quick suite of services. Those are all very new, and I think the world keeps changing really fast, and that is why we have this podcast to kind of keep you up to date about all the latest and greatest that happens in the cloud and AI world. Great. So, Pradeep, some of the concerns I have seen, especially we have a lot of BFSI customers, right? And when we pitch any of those agentic AI solutions or something like Kiro or Q for developer for the developers, right? They are extremely worried that this is my code and I don't want a third party like some LLM looking at my code and kind of that being a problem for me, right? So, what would you say to those kind of people?
See, security has been the day zero for AWS and does not change with AI coming in. And this was a problem with Bedrock also. People start saying that Bedrock has a common model which is serving multiple customers. So anyway, when we give the prompt or the data when it comes, the LLM will use the data to relearn itself. And that was a concern with a lot of customers.
Correct.
But we introduced a concept called development account in, in AWS. So what we do is deployment account in AWS. So what we do is whenever you ask for a Bedrock instance of a suppose you are coding and you want Cloud Sonnet 4.5, which is the latest and greatest model, we create a replica from the original model for you in a deployment account, which of that account has access to. You can't access that account. Neither we can access account or you can access that account. That account is used as a standalone copy of the LLM, which is generated for you. All the codes go there, and when your work is done, we just wipe out the account.
Okay.
So there's no access to the LLM to your code because that's a standalone replica of it. So that's where we are going to basically make sure that your data remains with you and is
Got
never
it.
shared with the LLM.
And I think that's a big difference between, let's say, AWS versus using a publicly available LLM
Yeah.
directly. So that can also code that. You can also prompt to get the code back or suggestions or finding bugs. But those public LLMs definitely has now access to your code, and they probably could use that code to train. But if you use AWS services, then you can be rest assured that your interactions with LLMs are safe, secured, not going back to the LLM owner, and you can be rest assured your code is safe.
Security is always D0. So guardrails, all the other securities, we make sure that data remains inside your subscription, does not go out, and is only accessible to you.
So, Pradeep, in terms of security, I've heard you reference guardrails a couple of times. Can you please explain to our listeners what AWS guardrails is?
So let me simplify it for you, correct? So when you are asking a question to LLM, correct? LLM has answers to everything in the world because they're trained by world data, correct? But you want the answer to happen from your data only.
Correct.
So how you solve that? So there's RAG and other thing, but you also want to make sure that some questions which are the LLM is not supposed to answer,
Okay.
they are prevented. Guardrails is a feature to prevent that whatever you want to answer or you want the type of question to be answered, those are answered. A simple example is you have built a solution for answering financial question only. But LLM can answer normal questions like what is the capital of India. But you don't
Correct.
want to answer that because there's a cost associated with that.
Correct.
You can use the guardrail to just answer the financial question and
Right.
not anything else. And it can be any other type
Yeah.
of security measure you want to take up with the guardrails.
And I think you can also probably prevent the PII data being displayed
Yeah.
by using guardrails. I think
PI data, illicit report data, everything can be prevented using guardrail.
great. Great. So, a lot of the listeners, right, Pradeep, like we were just discussing before we started recording about my daughter, about you talking about your son. A lot of listeners would have kind of teenage-ish kids, and there's always this uh, thought that how is the next generation going to code? Will there be coding jobs available or not, or that? So, how do you, in your experience, how do you see the young kids, the next generation, using these tools on AWS?
See, this was a very, very personal experience which happened in last couple of months. My son is in class 10. He's doing a project for his school. And basically, he wanted to solve an issue which we all face, which cab to book and which will come fastest, correct? He took up that project, and one of the my reaction was when you're building this project, and I'm still a traditional thinker, correct? Why don't you ask for APIs to these companies and it will be easy for you to develop it? He wrote those guys. The answer did came out positive, but he didn't give up. He used all these different tools like Bedrock, automation tools, and built a solution in 20 days. Where using a WhatsApp integration of front end and obviously Bedrock at the back end, you can actually query all the four apps,
Wow.
get the data
All the
out,
four travel apps.
all the four travel apps, get the data, and the way he's getting data is like screenshotting the actual phone, understanding where to put the destination and source, understand which is the cheapest one, and giving a WhatsApp interface back to the answer in a WhatsApp to the person, and they can decide to do it. And if a class
Wow.
10 student can do and build the step of app in 25 days, I think developers need to really, really understand and use this tool properly so that
Hmm.
the productivity of the developers can really change
Correct.
using these tools.
Yeah, and I had a personal experience as well. I have a niece I'm close to, and she was in class 10th, and she's supposed to decide on what subjects to
Mm.
take, right? Whether to take physics, chemistry, math, and kind of try engineering, or take the biology route and try to do medical. And she was
Mm.
very confused. And uh, I've been teaching her coding since she was very little, and she was very smart, I think, in terms of coding. And suddenly she said, I don't want to uh, be a developer, right? And I was kind of a bit taken aback, but then I kind of had my personal time with her, and I asked her what happened, why don't you be a developer? And apparently her principal rather, in school went out and said that there'll be no jobs of developers in the next 5 7 years because of AI, right? And I was kind of laughing internally, but I kind of put a straight face to her and I tried to explain it to her that probably that's not the case. I think while there's a lot of buzz around, there won't be developer left, but I think you still need somebody to control the AI, to guide the AI, and I think the developers definitely would be needed for sure.
See, as I said, correct. AI, instead of developer asking question to AI, the world has to move to reverse manner. AI answering the developer. See, the innovation and uh, all the re-engineering of the process can only be bought by developers. AI can't do it. AI can tell you whether these are the five options I have. Choose from the options, but how to reimagine the process and then choose the right uh, way of coding that can only be done by developer.
Yeah.
So I don't think developer job going away. I think developer is going to be super productive in this couple of years.
Yeah, I think I also like to say that maybe it's not the developers. Job won't be there, right? But what we saw with the entire advent of cloud is that the low level engineering jobs vanished.
Yeah.
For example, before a large company would have 10 guys just swapping hard drives, failed hard drives in a data center. But now, if you're on AWS, then you don't need that,
Yeah.
right? Because AWS would have automated that process and they would have some guys. But as somebody using AWS, I could have 10,000 virtual machines, and I don't need to have a single person swapping hard drives or network failures or this or that, right? It's all automated. So I feel that, but it expanded the market enough that now there's need for more AWS developers than ever before. I mean, one of the as a founder and CEO of a tech company, I always encounter other founders, right? And their one common thing is they all need more AWS developers,
Yeah.
not less. And the need for technical folks on AWS, architects, developers on AWS hasn't gone down at all. In fact, if anything, it has increased.
Yeah. So yeah, all the base jobs are going to go away, uh, are going to be automated, and that's happened over the years. Correct? When computers came in, correct, people who were writing accounts manually is gone away.
Yeah.
When ATMs come in, bank tellers' job reduced, but has the banking staff reduced? It's not reduced.
Not without a doubt.
Similarly, with AI come in, developers are not going to reduce; it's going to increase,
Correct.
but they are going to do better job.
Yeah, I think maybe some jobs like manual testing and some very low level testing or some kind of very low level configuration or deployment guys might be reduced drastically. But I think the need for AI developers is going to skyrocket. I
Yeah,
think in the next few years.
I totally agree to that.
Great. All right. So, Pradeep, as an ISV, right? If a lot of our listeners would be uh, product companies who are building products, or that ISV is building in India for India, or building in India for the world, right? How can they leverage AWS, right? Like what is required for them to become an AI first company?
This is very interesting, and uh, because when I look at it, any company who's using ISV building products, the first thing they do is adopt AI first internally. And Bhavesh, I think the best company who has done that is you.
Thank you.
15 to 18 months back when we started this journey, the way you adopted AI internally and then build products and support on AI is the best story I've heard of. So I think you should answer that other than me, that how you have transformed your company from a tech company to AI tech company. So I think that is the story you should answer, question you should answer.
We discuss about this a lot, and I think there's a saying in US that you need to eat your own dog food, and that I strongly believe in. That we can't sell or we can't preach others to do something what we haven't used ourselves. So about 18 months ago, we made some fundamental changes in the way we think. And the first change was the development team or the IT team, right? So um, we had the software development team, we had network team, we had migration team, modernization team, AI ML team, right? And one thing we realized is that now everybody is an AI team. There cannot be silos with just one small team doing AI. Everybody has to do it. So we switch it and say you are security plus AI team, you are DevOps plus AI team. So AI is kind of the default layer across the team. So we transform all our engineers and developers as AI developers. The second thing we did is we made the entire company an AI company. So we have internal trainings that happen inside the company, and everybody has to, whether they are in HR or in sales or marketing, they have to take a course on Gen AI and AI and ramp themselves up. So there's a small course, small assessment. You clear the assessment, you get a badge. So the entire company was motivated to take the badge, and people responded really well. And what we saw is that the efficiency of the company really increased really well. Last year, we grew as a company about 60% year over year, um, but our manpower is only increased by about 18%. So which shows that we are gaining a lot of efficiency from all these changes that we are making, right? So I think, yeah, that has worked really well for us.
Yeah, so and this is a discussion with every CTO that if you don't adopt AI and just you want to be using AI for building a product, you can't really harness the power of it.
Yeah.
And Cloud that is a perfect example where you have
Correct.
harnessed the power of AI for your internal organization, and now you're using it for customers
Correct.
to build solutions.
And it's really interesting because we did as a trial. We got Amazon Q developer licenses for all our AWS folks, the guys who are system engineers or developers or DBAs on AWS. And there was some cost associated with it. So after 1 quarter, we try to see if the cost is matching the output, and like unanimously, none of the developer wanted to get rid of the licenses. We saw almost 100% utilization, and everybody swore by it that it makes their tasks faster and life easier. And if you take it away, then it will be very hard going back to the older way of doing things.
So I call AI as a new search, equivalent to new search engine. So whatever you start doing in the organization, AI is going to assist you that. So that's the way I look at AI today.
Correct. So this is going to be a really, really interesting time. I think the next few months, because I think in the next couple of weeks, Microsoft has Microsoft Ignite, where they're going to release a lot of AI thing, and the biggest AWS event of the year, AWS reInvent, happens in Las Vegas. Is happening in early December this year, and I am anticipating there's going to be a lot of cool features and a lot of cool releases. Right? What are some of the areas? I know you're not allowed to disclose before the release, but what are some of the areas where our listeners can anticipate some big announcements?
See, we as a company uh, believe in holistic AI, correct? From hardware to the middleware, which is the SageMaker and the Bedrock, to the presentation layer, which is the Quick Suite or the Cube products. And you want to see innovation all across. And now we don't believe in doing a big bang. You see every month, or every week, something coming out.
Yeah,
If you follow Swami, you see every week announces something else,
correct.
something good happening. Agent Core got announced, Quicksuit got announced. You have new chips getting announced. So you see a lot of stuff getting announced across the platform.
Correct. And Pradeep, maybe we can have you back sometime after the reinvent to discuss the all the changes and all the new features that AWS has released and how the listeners can adopt and benefit from all the new releases. So if you are listening to this podcast, please subscribe, because after the reinvent, we're going to do one more episode which talks about all the latest and greatest announcements happening in AWS reinvent. Pradeep, I really want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much for coming with us and chatting about AI, Gen AI on AWS with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bhavesh. I really ask the subscriber viewers to subscribe to this podcast. You will hear a lot of great things from Bhavesh. He's a great guy, great technology guy. Always look forward to talking to you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thanks a lot. Thanks.